Well, hello, children. Hello, Felix. It's children's story time. Isn't it exciting? And guess where we are, children? We're back at our home. And if you look out into the distance there, you'll see dark clouds. I think it's going to rain tonight, Felix. What do you think? Yes, I think it's going to rain. And so, children, here we are. We decided that we would rather... That's true, Felix. God gives us rain and He helps us so that all the nature and beautiful things around us can grow. Isn't it wonderful how God cares for us in such a wonderful way? And it makes me think, Felix, that the Bible teaches me if God is looking after the plants and animals and birds in such a beautiful way, won't He look after us in such a beautiful way? I'm sure He will. Don't you think so? Well, children, it's time for us to have our children's story time again. And I want you, Felix, we're going to go to our Bibles and we're going to read out of 1 Samuel chapter 20 today, children. And, Felix, it's a beautiful story that I'm going to tell you. But, again, before we go any further, Yes. Well, children, Felix was just telling me, are we going to teach you a new song? It's called Pass It On. We've been practicing it. And children, maybe you don't know it, but we're going to teach it to you. We're going to sing it twice through today, aren't we, Felix? And then we're going to teach it to you, and we're going to hope that you will learn it because it's a new song. And then, of course, we're going to sing our theme song in the end. But let's sing this one together. It's called Pass It On. And we've been practicing. Hey, Felix. Okay, well, are you ready, Felix? Okay, children, we're going to teach you the song. If you do know it, sing along with us. It goes like this. It only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around are warming to its glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you spread His love to everyone you want to pass it on. Felix, I think we need to just start a little lower. I struggle always to get those high notes, but I see you sing it so easily. Yeah, he says he's a tenor. Well, I must be a bass if you're a tenor. I really struggle to sing, but let's sing it again. This time we're going to sing it a little lower. Okay, Felix? It only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around are warming to its glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you spread His love to everyone you want to pass it on. Well, that was better. Children, I hope you're going to learn this song. It's such a beautiful one. It's all about God's love and how that if you share it, it warms people's lives up and they really become much better people, Felix. And we enjoyed singing it, didn't we? Yes. Okay, well, our theme song, children, again, Felix, you know what our theme song is? It's Are You Downhearted? No, no, no. Okay, children, are you ready? Okay, let's sing it together. Are you downhearted? No, no, no. Are you downhearted? No, no, no. Troubles may come and troubles may go. We trust in Jesus, come well or woe. Are we downhearted? No, no, no. Oh, children, Felix, I really struggle with my whistle. I don't know what's wrong. Children have to practice. You see, I need to practice some more every time so that I can put it together. But children, did you get your whistle right? Are you downhearted? Well, I hope not, because Jesus loves us, this we know. Isn't that true, Felix? Okay, well, children, let's get to our story. The story is about two friends. And the one's name was David, and most of you know about David. He was the king of Israel. And he was a shepherd boy at one stage. In actual fact, he was the one that taught us the Lord's, that the Lord is our shepherd, I shall not want. And that is Psalm. Yes, that's Psalm 23, children. And if you look in your Bibles, you will always find it. But that was a beautiful psalm. It's a psalm that tells us how much Jesus cares for us, and that He will always lead us to green pastures and waters, and that He will always love us and prepare a table in the presence of our enemies. But anyway, this story is about David, and then it's about another friend of David's. They were really, really close friends, and his name was Jonathan. And David was very worried because Jonathan's father was King Saul. And King Saul was very jealous of David, and he knew that David was going to be, or was in actual fact, anointed the next king. And he wasn't excited about that. And in actual fact, he was so angry, he wanted to kill David. But David and Jonathan were very good friends. And one day David said to his friend Jonathan, "Isn't your dad angry with me?" And Jonathan says, "No ways, my father is not angry with you." And David says, "No, I think he's angry with me. I think he wants to kill me." And Jonathan said, "Never. I don't believe that. My father wouldn't want to kill you." And so Jonathan said, I'm going to say to you that you must understand my father loves you. And David said, "Well, I'm not so sure about that." And then he looked at Jonathan and he said, "Aren't you perhaps trying to deceive me? Have you perhaps also chosen your dad's side and you making me think that everything's all right?" And Jonathan said, "No, I would never do anything like that." So David said, "Okay, I want you to understand that we must have an agreement between you and me." And it's there in verse 16 of 1 Samuel chapter 20, we read about the agreement between Jonathan and David, the two friends. So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David. So that means with David's people. He said there, "May the Lord call David's enemies to account." And Jonathan and David reaffirmed his oath out of love for him, because he loved him as he loved himself. So both Jonathan and David agreed that they would never ever harm one another. But then David said to Jonathan, "I think you need to go back to your dad. And when I'm in the place where I normally sit and eat, if your dad sees that I'm not there and nothing happens, then we will wait. And then the next evening, if he still sees that I'm not there and he asks you, 'Where is David?' and you must tell him, 'I've gone to my house there in Bethlehem. I've gone to go because there's a feast, and I'm asking to be excused from the king's table.' And then if your dad, Jonathan, gets all angry and he wants to kill me, then you must let me know so I can be safe." And Jonathan said, "Okay, but I'm telling you, my dad doesn't want to kill you." But David said, "Let's do that." So Jonathan anyway said, "Okay, but let's make an agreement. You hide in the field over there, and when you're hiding, I will come out with my bow and arrow, and then I'm going to shoot 3 arrows into the distance. And then I'm going to send my servant after them to go and fetch them. And if I say, 'Hey, the arrows are beyond you,' you must run and you must flee and you must never come back. But if I say my arrows are on this side of you, then you must know everything's all right and you can come and my father isn't going to kill you." So David said, "Well, that's a good idea." And so Jonathan went home, and the very first night, King Saul looked over where David normally sits and eats, and he noticed that David wasn't there, but he didn't say anything. He just carried on eating, and Jonathan too. And Jonathan thought, you see, my dad isn't angry. But the next evening, again, David wasn't at the table. He wasn't there to eat. And Saul, Jonathan's dad, turned to him and said to him, "Where is David?" And Jonathan said, like they agreed, he said, "Well, David's asked if he could go to his father's house because they got a special reunion and it's in Bethlehem, and he asked to be excused." And then guess what happened, children? King Saul got so angry. He said to Jonathan, you don't realize it, but David is going to be the next heir, and you've been so foolish. And he threw his javelin at his own son, almost wanting to kill him. And then Jonathan realized that his dad was angry enough that he wanted to kill David. And he went out and he was so sad, children. And he went out, took his bow and arrow, and as he said, he shot 3 arrows, and he shot them far away. And then he sent his servant after them to go and fetch it. And then he shouted to the servant, "Are the arrows on the other side of you, beyond you?" And then David knew that he was in trouble. Anyway, the servant picked up the arrows. He came back, gave them to Jonathan, and the servant didn't know about this interesting agreement that they'd made, Jonathan and David. And then after the servant had left, David got up out of the field where he was hiding, and he walked up to Jonathan, and they wept. And I want you to notice in verse 42, Jonathan and David, listen to what it says there, Felix. In verse 42, children, of 1 Samuel chapter 20, it says there, Jonathan said to David, you hear this, listen to this. Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord is witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever." Then David left, and Jonathan went back to the town. And you know what is so sad is that they wept many times. I want you to actually, let's look at it. It says there, children, in verse 41, after the boy had gone, David got up from the south side of the stone and bowed down before Jonathan 3 times with his face to the ground. Then they kissed each other and wept together. But then it says there, Felix, but David wept the most. You know, isn't it sad that they were such good friends, but because of Jonathan's father, who was so angry, their friendship came to an end there. But you know, they said they would always look after one another. Now, Felix, next week I'm going to tell you how that David actually honors this whole agreement between his house, the house of David, and Jonathan's household. Okay? Yeah. Do you wish it was next week already? Yeah, well, you have to wait now. It's weekend. We will see the children on Monday, and then I'll tell you the rest of the story. Okay, children, thank you so much for being with us. And remember, I think they need to learn that song that we sang, and then we're going to sing it together again next time. Hey, Felix. Okay, children, it's time for us to say goodbye. Okay, Felix, you're going to say goodbye. Okay, bye. See you again on Monday. Bye.